say Shot City, the tailgate show, the tailgate show, the tailgate show. And you say Shot City, the tailgate show, the tailgate show, the tailgate show. And you say Shot City, the tailgate show, the tailgate show, the tailgate show. And you say Shot City, the tailgate show, the tailgate show, the tailgate show. And you say Shot City, the tailgate show, the tailgate show, the tailgate show.
Ooh, that was slick.
What is up? Brian has gone away somehow. What's going on? Welcome to the Tailgate Show on the Brawl Network. We are live. What's up, Twitter, Periscope? What's going on, Facebook? What's happening? YouTube on the Brawl Network. We are live. We are in game week.
Yes.
The quarterback
Football.
competition has ended. It's a whole new world for the Bears.
It looks a lot like the old world.
Yes, it is strangely familiar. That is absolutely true. Of course, I am Double A, as you can see on the screen. AARNTOR on Twitter. We have, of course, Jeremy Kramer, AirJair54 on Twitter. We are on the Brawl Network. We're bringing you the Tailgate Show as we do every week, Sunday nights. Thank you for tuning in. If you're tuning in live, it's the first time you listen to us, we appreciate you. If you are a fan of us that's been listening to us for a while now, this is the 99th episode of the Tailgate Show, believe it or not.
Dan Hampton episode.
Dan Hampton or Travis Gibson, if you want to.
Gibson, let's get low.
Yeah, it is definitely not the Aaron Lynch episode of the Tailgate Show because
it could be. It's early.
So yeah, man. Brian's gonna be joining us shortly. B Diddy. It's been a full-on week of Bears Twitter craziness, the speculation, the drama, everything that has led up to the roster, the quarterback competition, and it all finally culminated in what has to be the most epic Friday news drop of all time.
Yeah.
At about 7 p.m., here it comes. Boom, Mitch Trubisky is named the Bears starting quarterback. Jer, what was going through your mind at that moment? Set the scene for us.
I was like, oh, shit. I don't know. That was my initial gut reaction was, oh, shit. And then it's like, you know what? That's our quarterback. We got to get behind him, so let's go.
That's it, man. I mean,
it's got to be. I can't believe, we went from a place earlier in the week where there was not going to be anything leaked or nothing was going to come out about the quarterback position until game week, at least. He had hinted that maybe not even till game day would he give a straight answer. And then, bam, here it comes, right from Shefty and the whole crew.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was like official, like, and there's been so many fake Twitter handles doing all kinds of craziness all week and, all this stuff. So it was almost like a moment of like, wait, what? Because you're right. I mean, Nagy had been basically all damn over the place with this. I mean, 1 minute it's, I'm going to announce it later. And then, there's no way I could do that. We're going to announce it. Either Monday or Wednesday, and everybody's speculating about that, and you won't nail it down. But you kind of had this feeling that because of Sunday being this practice and everything, that's when it would happen, right? And so it was like, okay, settle in for the wait for that. And they were all supposed to have a day off. I think maybe 2 days off, Friday and Saturday. Which, is, I think, a stressful time for a football team, because it's like campus kind of wrapped. I mean, this might be, if it was a normal time, Bourbonnais sort of pulls up tent stakes and moves the circus back to Hallis Hall. And then, the coaches are kind of, sweating a little bit like, oh, boy, these guys are out on their own right now. And then There it is. Boom. And you just, I mean, Schefter doesn't miss. Like
Telephone.
it's Brian. Should I answer it?
Yeah, you should totally answer it.
Maybe he needs a fresh invite. What's happening? What is happening? I don't know. But yeah, it's all happening now. I guess
I would never.
We're having a call in. Yes, hello. You're on the tailgate show. Thanks for calling in.
Dude, let me in. I'm in the green room. That's all you.
I don't see you in the green room though.
Oh, I'm sitting there.
I think you have to re-enter.
I'll do it again.
First time caller, long time listener. Yeah, this is John from Des Plaines. I just wanted to call in and say that Nagy's play calling is terrible. First of all, they need to run the ball more. Secondly, they got to get Trubisky's out on the edge and let him use his feet. They need to put the offense tailored more to his talents. Nagy's bum, and I could coach him better than that.
There you go. Just like that.
Just like that. Just like that.
So,
So yeah, man. I don't know why Brian can't get in the room here. Well, there he is. Hey! Boom! There he is.
Wanted to jump in before you got too negative on the Mitch thing. What's going on, fellas?
Oh, I know. Yeah, before we go dark, is that how we're gonna do it? Whoa! He's got the belt, folks. He's got the belt, folks. What's cracking?
You should have taken that bet.
I don't know what happened with StreamYard there, man. What's going on?
I don't know. It's we're working with the technology. So we just got done hearing Jared's thoughts. We just talked about the Bears having the most epic news drop ever on a Friday, a little quiet Friday evening. We're all chilling. Don't think it's going to happen for a couple days. Boom. What went through your mind, Diddy? What was the first thought you had in your mind? The first feeling?
I was surprised that there was a leak. Since Nagy and Pace have been together, they've been pretty. They've been able to keep things under wraps pretty well. So I don't know if it was new guys on the coaching staff or like you said, everything's been on Zoom. Families are hearing stuff. I don't know how it leaked. I expected it to be an announcement from them. I wasn't surprised though. I thought it was going to be Mitch the whole time. I thought Foles was a great insurance plan if Mitch doesn't pan out. So. It wasn't surprising to me. But, the challenge was put in front of him. He came through it, whether we think it was a legit challenge or not. I mean, I think things definitely got shrunk down. We expected a preseason. We expected more of off-season things going on, but COVID kind of ruined all that. So it's Mitch, man. I think it's a competition that's going to lead into the season, really, because it's like – ninth inning, bases loaded. Foles is in the bullpen, so we just gotta get behind Mitch, man. I hope for the best for him.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean that's the thing is that like everybody has to remember, like we talk shit. The whole purpose of this show is basically just to talk shit about the Bears. I mean this is what we do. We don't think we're experts. If you've never listened to us before, the first time you came across us, we're not gonna sit here and tell you we could do it better than them as a coach or anything like that. We love the Bears. We talk about the Bears.
So I'm an analyst. I don't know about y'all, but
yeah. I mean, I would consider us all to be highly educated fans. I mean, let's be honest. It's not like, but the whole goal is to have fun. Why are we wearing sunglasses and whatever? I mean, you might not be at this moment. That's your right. It's your prerogative. But it's not because it's just it's supposed to be fun. So we hope that you enjoy us talking about it. But what it comes down to is we're now rooting for Mitch.
Yes,
it's Team Mitch. It's get your 10 up. Okay? It's next man up. It's next fan up. Okay? Let's do this. Like, it's time to go. It's time to roll with Mitch. And, yeah, you know what? We talked shit about him all offseason and most of last season. But it's water under the bridge now. You know what? Because that's just – we're fans. It's what we do. And now it's time to move on. But I think that, there's still questions. I mean, Bears Twitter has been on fire as usual, talking about this and that. Was it really Pace's decision? Did Pace come in and did he, after everybody else had decided, come in and say, you know what, it was so close. Mitch is my boy. I can't.
We were hearing that from pretty legitimate sources that Pace overrode the coaching staff, but then Hogan Johns kind of put a kibosh on that. Having said that, they're very close to Pace, so who knows? I really can't see Pace overriding the coaching staff because Mitch is his quarterback. I get that, but Nagy's also his coach.
Yep. I like what he said to Nagy today about the whole situation. That's a kid that's taken his lumps in his last 8 months of his life has been pretty tough. So for him to fight through what he's been fighting through, fight through this quarterback competition, and come out on the other end of it, it could be a really big turning point for him, not just as a person, but as a football player,
Well, and I think, Brian, what you said is important, is that this whole thing is Pace's thing. So this idea that Nagy went out and brought Foles in, and somehow that's only like over here in the Nagy column, and Pace isn't responsible for that also, is crazy. Like, people honestly think that, that, and maybe even there's been times where we've kind of maybe thrown that idea out there that it's sort of Pace going, okay, do your own thing, bring in your new coaches and bring in your quarterback, and we'll see who wins. I'm having a hard time believing that, because I really do believe that these guys are tied at the hip. For better or for worse, I think they're in lockstep with each other. I know it's sometimes hard to believe that because Pace was so, all about the subterfuge and the weird crap with John Fox. Obviously, they had nothing like this relationship, but you see the pictures of them. It's not fake. You see them up at the press conferences together. These guys are, they're bosom buddies, man. Like, they are in it for a penny, in it for a pound, and I've joked about this, that they are Thelma and Louise, and Mitch is now in the backseat of that convertible, and they are hurtling toward the cliff. Maybe they don't go off the cliff, but I'm telling you, I do believe there was a competition. I do believe that Mitch won it, but what I also will tell you is that if there had been a preseason and Foles had a chance to get a little more time with the offense and a little more comfortability, I don't know if we're sitting here saying the same thing.
And, I know stats aren't everything, but if you look at their career stats, Foles with 8 seasons and Mitch with 3, Mitch actually isn't far off from Foles' numbers in 3 seasons. So it's not like, I know everybody, the Super Bowl ring, I get that, but like production-wise, they are pretty close. We kind of felt they were both close. I'm not a big Foles fan, and I think Mitch has, if he's playing at his best, has more to offer athletically and keep teams a little more honest. But, man, I'm rooting for the kid. I'm excited for the season, and that's just kind of where I'm at, man. I know we've talked our shit, but you know
absolutely.
What? You got to get behind it
again.
and an important thing, like, I know the pressers were pretty vanilla, but Nagy looked tired as hell, man. He looked like he drained. But
imagine cutting 30 plus players in one day.
Yeah,
that list came out in a hurry too. It
did. And
the one thing I will add about that, and I think is worth noting, is that and what we had was, prior to the pressers, we had a whole couple days of everybody on NFL Twitter weighing in. Couple things. Number one, if you're a Bears fan and you were on Mitch's side, cut the shit with the victory laps on other Bears fans, okay? Cut the shit. It's totally Bush League. It's totally cornball to be taking a victory lap on the same team's fans as you. I know
it would have happened if Foles won, though, man.
No, absolutely not. I would have said the same thing to those people, because I'm sorry, but that's not cool. It's not cool in the least. Like, we're rooting for the same damn team, and if you got it twisted and you got all, like I say, you slather your biscuit with Mitch butter, all off season, and you're just sitting there like, oh, I hope Mitchy Poo wins it all, and I don't care. It's just me and Mitch against the world. If that's your life, and you really are now a Mitch fan and not a Bears fan anymore, like, what are you doing?
It's corn. I mean, that's Twitter, though, bro. Like, people pull up tweets from people from 5 years ago, and it's just it is what it is. If you really have the kind of time in your life, good for you, man. I don't, but
But I
Everybody's
just
gonna do
like
video.
there's been so much division in the country. There's been so much division in our fan base about this. I just want to say, let's cut the shit. Let's be Bears fans. Let's root for the C and not the number or the name on the
My
back.
Lord.
Yes,
It was a long off season, man. People are gonna do their thing.
I know they're
don't
going to do with it, but I don't like seeing it because it's the same Bears Twitter community that we interact with all the time, and I'm tired of the and it gets people get in their like real life feelings about this stuff, and they start to go to stupid places with it. I just for 1 second, can you possibly imagine that Nagy really felt like, oh yeah, I hope Mitch loses this thing? I mean, that reflects on him.
Yeah, he wants to
like,
win, just like anybody else.
Like he wants the best damn quarterback. Now, you could argue about whether or not the Foles is the best option out there. We've done that. We've talked about it. It's old news. Mitch is the quarterback for week 1. Get behind him.
Absolutely.
And root for him. And now does that mean, as I said today, I'm rooting for Mitch 110%, more than that. But does it mean I turn my brain off? Does it mean that I am not gonna scream if something goes wrong or bitch about a play call or bitch about a throw or this and that? No, it doesn't. I'm not gonna stop being who I am, and everybody's gonna do what they do. But I would like to challenge myself and challenge us and challenge any Bears fans watching or listening. Don't start calling for Foles immediately. Now, I know that's an impossible ask.
Yeah.
So I just said it, and I couldn't even get the sentence out before I was like, who am I kidding? Like, really, who am I kidding? I can't even ask myself that. But I thought the one thing that was interesting is that
he's going to get 4 to 5 games. But
yeah,
let me just hit on my point real quick.
Sure.
With Nagy, the only thing that really stood out to me is he did say Mitch's footwork has gotten a lot better and his command has gotten better, and it's natural command. It's not forced. So those are 2 important things to pay attention to. If Mitch does get his footwork right, that's big. That really is.
Well, and some of the things that we poo-pooed. The work that he did in the off season, we clown that and maybe his shoulder, who knows? I mean, maybe, now all this stuff that seems questionable, it's like everybody's behind it, right? Like even Nagy, who kind of downplayed that at the beginning, now they sort of point to that, you know what I mean? And, you heard that Nagy had a 90-minute conversation with Nick Foles.
Yeah.
Now, the first thing... Go ahead, Jared.
How about Nick Foles? He's like, I want to call Mitch to tell him he won. It's just like, that's a pretty baller move. I mean,
Nick Foles is a good. That dude's a stand-up guy.
Yep.
They both are stand-up guys. You got to give them credit for that. Both of them.
Yeah, but Nick Foles has been doing it for years and years and years. I don't know if we have enough of a sample size because I'll be honest, I like Mitch. I root for Mitch. There's times where I don't know if it's from the heart. Like and we've talked about this, and he feels like a robot sometimes. And I know he's young-ish, but Foles just has this honesty about him. This sort of disarming confidence. What?
Mitch seems just as honest to me. They're just.
I don't. He doesn't strike. If you were to show me them, I'd never met them before. I didn't know who they were. I would look at Mitch and go, hey, he's acting, and Foles is not. That's just my.
Some people just don't do press very well. I mean, you can look at our own. Mac doesn't do press well.
You remember Cuddy, right?
Cuddy.
Yes, of course. I'm not saying that counts for anything. I'm just saying like what we found out was what everybody had already been telling us, that Foles is a good-ass dude. I mean, it's like the difference between, Cutler and McCown. I mean, McCown, shout out to McCown, who's now on the practice squad for the Eagles again. His career will never stop. 41 years old, letting it rip. But, everybody, they loved him as a personality, and they love the dynamic, and it was like, oh, he's actually friends with, Surly J and whatever. So what you have, I think is very believable, is this alliance between the two guys. and some people, and I think it was Hogan Johns talked about, did Foles' reputation hurt him in a sense?
Ooh.
Because I think we had kind of framed this the other way, that the resume and the known commodity that Foles would be a benefit, but you flip it the other way, and this is what Hogan Johns talked about, is it actually a detriment? Because now you see Mitch, and he has improved. Mitch has done the things you've asked him to do. And I mean, did he become a master of coverages? No, but I think that was obviously like kind of, we knew that wasn't going to happen.
That receipt got pulled early too, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you knew those guys weren't going to miss on that, especially, I think it was Weeder, also Stacey Dales. I mean, Stacey Dales has been kind of sliding in the cut here and there a little more than, sometimes, we've seen her in the past, which is, one of the nice things about the Zoom things is that, you don't have to be in town to be in the press conference.
Right.
I
thought Foles was a better choice at backup right off the rip because this is what he thrives at. I think going to Mitch as a backup might have ruined him, benching him right off the rip. That's just
right.
But
then people say
that's Foles' real house, man.
Right, but then people say that's a knock on Mitch. Like if he can't handle that, blah blah blah.
He's never. The only time he did was when Glennon was here. He's been the starter. It's not that we don't know if he can handle it. It's just he's never really has.
Right, but I think for his part, he said that he would back Foles if the tables were turned. I think he has no choice. As we've said, if he lost the job, his job would then to be the good soldier and be, follow the Marcus Mariota path, and hopefully, he gets, that type of a contract. But right now, man, he's back in the driver's seat. I mean, he's behind the wheel. He's in control of his own destiny. He does seem calm about it, which I thought was nice. Like, he didn't have that sort of like goofiness about him. Like, he definitely felt like, I don't know. I believed the things they were talking about the unity of the quarterback room, I guess. How they were really working to make it better. And I think that's like a lot of people, the national media were quick to jump on this. Oh, look at the stupid Bears, and we do that too, but it's our team. So Packers media and the national media, like, back the fuck off our team, okay? We criticize our team. You stay over there and talk about whatever the hell you talk about. But everybody was like, stupid Bears, they spent $20 million on Foles, and now they're just going back to Mitch, and Mitch is a pile of crap, and the stupid Bears, like, they don't know what they're doing, then they could have had this and that, and everybody's got their, like, truncated, didn't follow the story, don't know the details, don't know the timeline, BS, like, sugar-coated snippet of what they think the whole thing played out. And it's like, no, you fucks. Like, we've been in this swamp slogging away. We, like, met Yoda and got the damn X-Wing out of the muck, you bastards. Like, you're not taking this from us and telling us how it went. Like, sorry. Like, we were there, okay? Like, you don't get to say, like, well, they didn't do this. And we've complained about not getting Cam. We've complained. We were in a Derek Carr sweepstakes. I mean, like, if any quarterback who's currently on a roster, somebody made a picture of them in a Bears jersey, and we were like, yes! Like, it's true. But what it comes down to is picking up Foles wasn't that big of a deal. And I said this the other day, that in the history of Bears mistakes at quarterbacks, the Foles thing, the trade, isn't even going to be a blip on the radar.
Right.
Like, this is such a...
It's still not a bad signing. It's not a bad trade. It's actually a really good trade. You upgraded your backup by a lot.
Right.
I think Chase Daniel, albeit good for the couple of games that he played, still, he's not the same level as Nick Foles. He's just not. He doesn't have a ring. He doesn't have playoff wins. Nick Foles does.
He can't make the plays that Foles can make, period.
Yeah.
I mean, the most playing time Chase Daniel ever got in his life was in a Bears uniform.
we hire the best.
Yeah. But if by some crazy miracle, and it's like a miracle if this happens, if the Foles decision is the magical key that unlocks Trubisky, and not that he not some pie in the sky like he becomes a top 5 quarterback, but if he becomes like something in, like better than 2018, like if he becomes, the guy that we can say, yes, I can see this guy leading our team for the next 3 to 5 years. That's amazing. Like, and I'm not going to like give.
If he turns the corner and becomes the quarterback we hoped he would be, oh man,
it's
in the chat.
It's a reverse insurance policy, man. It was just like Glennon was to be the bridge. Foles is the backup plan, break glass in case of emergency. Let's get behind Mitch, man. Let's get behind Mitch. Hope for the best. That's where we're at. Do I think a 4th-year quarterback is it rare for that to happen? Yes, but you know what? We knew that his experience in college. It was 13 games. That was his college career. It was a pick that was way earlier than it should have been, and that's not Mitch's fault. We just got to get behind him now, man. We just got to get behind him, and let's hope for the best.
Shout out to Greg Braggs,
the president,
the El Bragsidente, the president of the Mitch fan club.
Please.
What the hell was that?
I don't know. heard Bragg.
The man himself, Braggsy's in the chat saying what's up. He's got a new show, Braggs in the Stands. We're supporting that. If you don't know who Braggs is, man, I don't know. You're not paying attention, basically. But he's one of the best out there. He was the guy that brought the videos from camp when nobody was doing that.
The king of bourbon.
And Braggs, has been on the Mitch train.
Yes,
he has been walking up and down the Mitch train from the front to the back, from the engine to the caboose. He's been shoveling the coal. He has been there and doing the damn thing. And you know what? He's feeling pretty good about himself right now, and I'm not mad at him for it.
We need to let him in and start a Mitch chant right now.
That's right. That's right. He was shoveling snow off his lawn. I think there was a time where he made a Mitch snowman, and there was many things, simpler times, pre-pandemic times.
Yeah, good times.
But that's the thing, is that Mitch, and Greg are very similar. They're just down home, honest folk. Anyway, shout out to Braggs. But here we are. I mean, we are at the point now where we no longer have a question of who is the quarterback, right?
No. And
so,
speaking of victory laps, I guess I'm going to have a victory lap ran on me today. Because somebody made the 53.
Who
It shocks me.
Who that?
Yeah.
Wims.
Alex Bars.
Here comes your Notre Dame.
Hey, Braggs will back me on that one.
Yes, Greg Braggs will back you on that one. Although he's more of a Purdue fan. I don't know if he's really.
No, he was a Notre Dame fan first. Don't let him fool you. Purdue basketball, I think.
Right. Irish football, he says. But anyway, Bars made the 53. The 53 came out. Now, we know it's going to be in flux, but I thought that was an interesting one, although I thought that he was going to make it. I thought it was surprising that they kept 9 offensive linemen. I think had
exactly what we thought was going to happen with Patterson being on the roster as a running back. It just freed up another guy to stay with the receivers. So I think that's big, man. I'd like to see Wims get the opportunity. You know,
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I always felt like 6 receivers was going to be the way, and I think we predicted Patterson being in the running back room. That's, once that kind of sort of leaked. But we had kind of thought about that before, I mean, to be honest. But so they put Pierce on the practice squad. At first he was waived. They put Pierce on the practice squad, which the moves at running back lead you to believe that Montgomery is feeling good, or, which scares me a little more, they're not really that worried about it, and they're going to go with everybody's All-American Ryan Nall.
And it might be like Bragg just said, Montgomery, I mean, they may think he's healthy. I don't know if you bring him out there on turf, though, week 1, if his groin's not 100%, man. That's a dangerous game to play.
Yeah,
well, so they kept 5 tight ends.
I hope he is healthy, though.
Saubert made the roster. The tight ends are obviously Graham and Kmet, Holtz, and Saubert and Harris. So I think Saubert was probably maybe the surprise just because we don't know a lot about him.
Right.
Came to us from the Falcons. But I'll tell you what, this is a big tight end group. Maybe you see Holtz be a fullback. I said that, and I think many have sort of suggested this, that we're going to see two tight end single back sets.
I didn't even ask Chair, are you okay with the Horsted thing? That seemed to be your new Broniker.
Yeah. It's okay.
Well, he did make it. Horsted ended up back on the practice squad, as did
Mustafer. You went 2 for 2. You're
another Notre Dame. Mustafer. That's Jer hates Mustafer, but
I despise him. I'm sorry, but
he's a very undersized center. I get it.
Yeah, but Ryan Pace loves undersized centers. Not that Cody ended up.
He's got that good golden DNA, though. You know what I mean?
Oh, right. That's true.
Let's get to the surprise cut. I mean, Kevin Tolliver. What?
Yeah, man, that was our boy.
I thought he was for a challenge, and I
thought he was in there for battling out to be the starting cornerback. Yeah,
and evidently, no. Get the hell out of my property.
Well, the Chade Townsend quote was very telling too about the mental strength, and they spoke to him about that. And I don't know him personally, but that could have just factored into it all. Maybe he's not there.
Well, and we were feeling him. I mean, we always felt that he was going to get a good shot, just because it seemed like he was the guy who was like waiting behind Amukamara, right? He was undrafted. Maybe he thought he should have been drafted. He was it was kind of a surprise that he went undrafted. So we kind of thought, as we often do, we sort of fall in love with these guys. And then he had he had a good game against Mike Evans in the Tampa game. That was sort of like the undersold story of the Tampa game of 2018, was that Tolliver locked up Mike Evans. When Preston.
Well.
Yes, quite well. And I don't remember this as well, but somebody said that they felt he played decently against Amari Cooper. I don't remember that, but I do. It kind of led me to go down a little research path of the cornerbacks, this is sort of a tangent, but the cornerbacks were challenged last year in general, and Tolliver really didn't get much of a shot at all.
Right.
But statistically, Buster Skrine was our best corner last year, although he did have a high number of missed tackles. But if you look at Amukamara, he gave up a high passer rating against Fuller, same thing, high completion percentage.
It all stems from up front, though. You don't have a pass rush, it leaves your corners exposed.
It's kind of telling me that Jalen Johnson's ahead of schedule.
It does, and Nagy had said that he feels he's ready, so that's great, and it's what we hoped, but who knows? Because the camp opened up with Artie Burns, and so you ask yourself, did they kind of feel like Tolliver? And I had kind of come up with a theory as to why that was, but now in retrospect, it's like, I don't know, like maybe they just didn't think Tolliver had it from the get.
Well, Johnson was also brought along a little slower, so.
Right, but I feel like Burns might have actually been a guy who could have seen playing time. The way things shook out. The guy who's motivated. And Pace has kind of had a history of trying to find these motivated guys who might be on the last year of their deal or, whatever the case may be. And then, you saw it with Ifidi, you see it with you saw it with Artie Burns and a couple other guys that he's brought into that ilk. But I have to say it's a surprise that Tolliver, was completely cut. And not only that, but he didn't go to the practice squad. He ended up in the practice squad with old Don Fangio, swooped him up.
Mhm.
Makes a lot of sense, actually.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, it makes sense. I mean, clearly he's going to remember him. He's going to like him. I think Ed Donatel is there with him, right? And so, that's going to, that's important. So good I hope Tolliver ends up working out there. I'd be lying if I said I knew anything about the Broncos cornerback depth chart. Although Bryce Callahan, was a bust of a pickup for them. So we'll see. I mean, so far, Pace has looked pretty good in terms of the guys that he's let go. You look at Clinton-Dix, cut, right?
Yep.
Amukamara, cut. I mean, it's looking pretty good for guys that Pace said goodbye to. Callahan was one. Cam Meredith, everybody freaked out.
Kind of missed the open to the public training camp, though, because Thomas Ives would have broke some hearts.
That's true. And the Ives Hive is alive on the practice squad. Thank goodness. The big man is still running around. A lot of wide receivers on the practice squad, which shocked me because they have so many.
It looks like somebody's saying hi to us in the chat there. Hello.
Oh, hey, it's Michelle.
Hi, Michelle.
Hello, Michelle. What's happening from Facebook? How are you? Thanks for tuning in on the old Book of Faces. So we have a number of wide receivers on the practice squad. Everybody should know the practice squad rules have changed quite a bit. 16-man practice squad. They can move guys on and off of it a couple times a year. They can protect 4 of them. Lester Wilfong from Windy City Gridiron did a great breakdown on it. Check it out. Learn about it before you end up talking, like what you're talking about and you don't. But they have a bigger practice squad. They can have 48 guys active on game day. They can have a 55-man roster for the week. So it's a little more flexibility. There was a little bit of a freak out moment where Carlos Santos got cut. And we were like, hold on, is Pinheiro hurt? Like, who's the kicker? Who's going to be the kicker week 1? This, that. And I still don't really know who necessarily the kicker is going to be. You think it's going to be Pinheiro, but they have flexibility. The point is they have flexibility. They can keep, as long as they have 8 offensive linemen.
Would you say something about getting on the Matt Gay train? I saw that somebody was saying that. You said
heavy pause. There was kicker questions. There was a strong, like a slam on the brakes moment, like an e-brake power slide, like bail out of the car. We can't go this route because somebody suggested that we should be back on the Matt Gay train. I said, no. So anyway, we will not. We're going with our 2 kickers who I don't know if I trust either one of them.
He does actually have a pretty powerful leg, though. I'm not being.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, for sure. I mean, there was all the teams are having kicker problem. I mean, Cody Parkey just got signed back to the Browns practice squad.
Oof.
Back to the Browns.
Scobie out there showing the kickers living their best
doing his
life.
thing. Yeah, Scobie doing his thing. That's right. Our boy Blankenship, is it Blankenship from Georgia?
Yes.
He got the kicker job for the Colts. But this is all for another show. You tune in next. You tune in Monday at 2 p.m. for Kicker Chat. We'll bring that back.
Welcome to Kicker Talk.
But yeah, so they kept back to the cornerbacks. They kept obviously Fuller and Johnson. They kept Screen, of course. Vildor. Jared, talk about Vildor. That's your boy.
He is a pit bull, man. He plays an aggressive press man. He's going to be really good opposite. I think he's going to be the steal of the draft, of that draft class. I really do. He's just got the heart. How many captains are cornerbacks?
Mhm.
Not many. That dude was a captain. He's a leader. He's smart. He plays the part well. You know, we listened to him on his Skype session with the Bears, and it's just like, man, I could see where this kid could really break in. And even though he's undersized, he's got that fight, dude. He's different. He's a different cat. I mean, like, you can go back and look at his tape when he played against Alabama. Them's the big dogs now, and he's playing at Jackson State or whatever. I can't remember the name of the school. Forgive me. But it's like, that kid can play, and they're about to figure it out real quick.
Yeah, for sure. So he got the nod. Duke Shelley, who had spent much of his time on the practice squad and has really gotten very few snaps and actually on defense. He is also on the roster, so good for him. And then we mentioned, of course, that Tolliver was the surprise cut. And you have Sherrick still there. Yeah. Now, we do have to think about a couple things. One is that you have Marquis Christian, right? Marquis Christian is serving a suspension. He's a safety. So the question is, and I think a lot of people are already sort of jumping to the conclusion that somebody is getting cut when he comes back. Now, I tend to not think that it's going to be Deion Bush. I also don't think it's going to be DeAndre Houston-Carson, to be honest, unless –
You think it might be McManus?
I think it's going to be Sherrick, unfortunately, or they cut one of the offensive linemen back down to the practice squad, and go back to 8, or maybe that when they expand the roster a little bit, they could do that. It's not a true expansion, but you know what I'm saying. Like I think that's where it's going to come, because I just think that DeAndre Houston-Carson is too valuable in special teams. I mean, and that's why people were saying, like, when HaHa got cut, you had, people like
Eric's a beast on special teams too. That's what
he is. He's the Rock. I mean, the guy's 9 seasons of that now. You just had people immediately assuming Mukamara was coming back.
Right.
No, dude is washed up. Love Prince. He's washed. Everybody wanted to assume that HaHa was just immediately going to come back. And so we're going to cut
Prince as a backup, though. I don't know. You don't throw him out there as a starter, but he knows the system. If you get him in for cheap, he's not the worst backup in the world.
I know he's not, but who gets cut? I mean, they've put – I
know we put a lot on Prince for last season, but we had injuries, man. Like if our front 7 are firing, I think Prince would be a lot better off.
I don't know. Like, how does he get cut from the Raiders? Again, I don't know their depth chart that well, but like, it doesn't strike me as, and
he's on the downside. He's on the downswing of his career. I get that. But
I think that Pace has been planning for that. That was the most obvious cut of the whole offseason was Prince. Was making too much money. And yeah, I mean, hell, if you could get him back and you already got the comp pick, because the comp pick is settled, that would be cool. But I just feel like I don't know. I'm torn because
it's like every other position as a Bears fan. We're always looking for the next one, the good one,
Well, and I'll be honest,
that way we fall in love with the idea of a player, and the reality is when you do something like that and you kind of like fall in love with that idea, it's just the idea. It's not his actual play. It's not fact based.
And you saw the meme, the Finding Nemo, Seagulls, Bears.
Yes.
Let's get on that topic real quick, because there were some players that were released, cut, available, Fournette, and then AP, and
he's going to be the
I will say this though, if they, I haven't followed it, but if they end up releasing Bo Scarborough because of this, yes, please. Well, I would like him added to the running back group.
In terms of Adrian Peterson, which I'm sure people know, but in case you don't, Adrian Peterson was picked up by the Lions. Kind of an odd pickup. I mean, he's not really their type of back necessarily either. I mean, we were told, by everybody, and shout out to the all-seeing oracle, Greg Gabriel, that tells all Bears fans that they're wrong about everything. He told us that what fools we are for wanting anything different. Or
I've got a good story about that, man.
yeah.
Someday.
But I don't think he's a great fit for what they're running. I mean, he doesn't have a lot of similarity to DeAndre Swift, but DeAndre Swift is hurt. So he might, I don't think it's going to be a long-term injury, but I mean, for whatever reason, they took a flyer on AP. Now, immediately I'm thinking of him running roughshod over us. And I know this is that's ancient freaking history. But at the same time, you just, as a Bears fan, you just have these twinges of every time
Kerryon Johnson's still a little banged up, I think, too. And
he stays banged up.
DeAndre Swift, I think he's not 100%. I'm not certain on that. I'm pretty sure, but
I'm looking forward to. I for one am looking forward to Adrian Peterson and Matt Patricia butting heads, though. I'll tell you what,
because that'll happen. AP's he's pretty coach friendly from what I've understood.
I thought him and Jay Gruden had problems.
Jay Gruden had some problems, man.
Well, the whole organization's
Jay
got
Gruden,
some problems.
Yeah, right. So maybe that's not. I don't know. Anyway, interesting that they picked him up. I don't know how much of a factor he's going to be. I don't know how many carries he's going to get.
And Bo hasn't been a beast in the league. He's just a beast of a human being. I would like to have that guy in goal line situations. He's a
that's been your guy. I've never even heard of him before you mentioned him. So
you don't remember him in Bama? He was like,
was it Bama or Auburn?
I thought it was Bama.
I'm not like a real big college football guy. Sit down and watch college football. I'll watch the highlight tapes of guys that are on the Bears' radar, and try to educate myself like that. But I'd be lying if I said that I spend a lot of time on Saturday watching college football. So no, I don't know who the hell Bo Scarborough is. But you saw these pickups, right? And obviously guys are out there, and it is that thing, every single guy is Bears fans. Bears, can we? But I will say that I wouldn't mind Crevion LeBlanc coming back. I thought that was a guy that we shouldn't have let go, and maybe he's a guy that because he got let go, he reinvented himself. But I wouldn't mind seeing him come back. And again, it's like you ask yourself, who do you cut? Who gets cut if this guy comes back, right? I saw people wanting Rasul Douglas back, and I don't know what the Eagles are doing. They're cutting their whole secondary. Darius Slay is like the Will Smith gif. What is going on? I signed this big deal, and and now he's going to play, next to a bunch of rookies.
Speaking of signings, Bears put ink to paper with somebody today.
Yes, Mario Edwards, defensive end. I guess he's an end.
Yeah, Eddie Goldman's college teammate there.
Right, you pointed that out very aptly. I had no idea. I didn't even catch that, but he was most recently with the Saints. So, of course, cue the Ryan Pace just loves all his Saints guys thing. But we saw some Saints people say that this is a good signing. It was a cap casualty. It wasn't a guy that is some bum that the Saints are happy to get rid of. He's a player that they believe can ultimately contribute. But again, that's going to beg the question: who goes?
I wonder what this means for Akeem Hicks and his injury. That's the question that I had.
Yeah, I would say I would doubt that it is going. That's a factor. They said that Akeem was back at the walkthrough, the last practice. So I'm gonna just venture to guess based on what we've heard that he's okay. I just think they needed more depth. You saw Abdullah Anderson make the practice squad. You saw the young kid, LaCale London from Western Illinois. So RJ Chicago Sports from Twitter Periscope says, I think Edwards is just a good rotational depth signing. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
I just don't know. Is he going to get snaps in week one? I don't know. I'd be highly surprised if that's the case. It doesn't strike me as being likely. He could be a guy that goes to the practice squad right away, and you've seen some of that with teams, because they've got to put them through the protocol for COVID. They've got to get them acclimated. This process is going to take longer when these pickups get made than it might in an otherwise normal situation, I would think. But defensive end tackle, I mean, that's a plug and play. Like, how much
rotation is going to be really solid this year. I really like the guys that we've got.
I agree.
And Akeem Hicks just makes it better,
Of course.
It just makes them all better. And it's like, oh, well, Bilal's going to probably I think Bilal's going to have a good year. You add Mario Edwards. That's a guy that can spell Hicks, and you're not going to lose a whole lot.
What was up with that? Did you see that John Jenkins is trying to change Akeem Hicks's nickname? Like, because they call him Mufasa. Khalil Mack gave him that nickname, and Jenkins said something about how now he's calling him Blue, but like nobody really knows what that is. Like,
it's from Monsters Inc.
But his the little girl called him Kitty,
right?
And his name wasn't Blue.
No.
So I don't know.
Whiskey's catching up to me, man.
You'll have that.
Back from a whiskey shit. It's me. No. So
talking drinking stories. I'll tell you mine later.
Stay tuned. But no, seriously, I think the lesson learned is if Khalil Mack gives somebody a nickname, just leave it alone. Like, that's it. Speaking of Khalil Mack, I think that, we have to pour one out for Lil Mack. We got to pour one out for Ladarius, right? No practice squad. I mean...
And RJ asked a question about Nichols, how he'll hold up against the run. I think he'll do all right, man. I've been hearing great things out of camp about him, and we expected him to take that big step last year, and just kind of didn't really happen like we thought it would. But I think Nichols is going to have a big season, man.
Well, and this is the thing, is that most defenses in the league are in sub packages and nickel majority of the time. I mean, we're, not that Goldman is not a huge loss, because he is every bit of a huge loss, but he's on the field for 45% of the time, right? So if there's a guy, and I think I said this before, if there's a cog or like a piece that you say, okay, this is my core guys, right? Akeem, Goldman, Jackson, Fuller. I mean, the whole damn defense is a core because they're so badass. But I think Goldman,
defense is gonna be ruthless.
If you had to pick, I would choose losing Goldman over Hicks again. Yeah. I mean, so I think hopefully this is going to be a thing where the opportunity that Nichols gets is one that turns out to be I don't know, I want to call it a blessing, but maybe. I mean, you don't get to see who these guys are unless they get a damn opportunity. Now, without the preseason, you've seen that, not a lot of UDFAs are making the roster, right? A lot of 6th and 7th round guys are getting cut. I mean, nobody gets to see these guys in action. I mean, we talked about how, Eckler, never would have been on the, we've talked about that. So it's very interesting. The Bears find themselves in a position where now you're sitting here going, wow, is this a great draft? Or did we just get really young really fast?
I think we got 2 first-round picks in the second round, and I'll die on the L. We'll see. I can't wait to watch Komet.
Brother, I want that
over. I've been saying that, but
pace is so due, to hit like that. So, and I mean, let's be, like we do this with pace, and everybody does it with pace. GMs, it's about 60-40. Like, the best GMs are probably 65-35 on the hit rate, of their picks. Like, so it's not, let's call a spade a spade. He's had his hits, he's had his misses.
He's had his late round gems.
Yes, he's had his Eddie Jacksons, he's had his production. He's had, Charles Leno, Maybe Arlington Hambright, who found himself on the 53, 7th-round pick out of Colorado, could be a guy.
Pace isn't the boy wonder Theo Epstein was when he first jumped on the scene. Okay,
No,
but he has come in. He has helped put things in place to change the culture of this team. This team was in a pretty bad spot when he came in. He was able to put the pieces in place to get this team in the right path in the locker room. We became competitive faster than we thought, and we thought we did. Things turned around quicker than we thought when Nagy got here. Things came back down to earth. We had a last place schedule. We played our last place schedule very well. Things kind of flipped the script, and then we were playing a first place schedule. Came back down to earth. Now it is actually good for a young team to have experienced the highs, the lows now, and I think they're ready. Man, all we need is consistency at quarterback. Exactly. I think we can have one hell of a season.
It's just it's cool. I think that these guys that we drafted in a draft that we were very thin on picks are now going to contribute right away. They have to contribute right away. I did not. I thought Komet would. I thought Jalen Johnson would. Those are your 2 first-round picks in the second round, right?
And Darnell Mooney looks like he's going to have a spot.
Darnell Mooney.
I'm liking Darnell Mooney, man. I've heard Deshaun Jackson comparisons, but he could end up being like a Johnny Knox too. We don't know. He's fast, man. His first step.
RJ, Chicago Sports said, do you think Mooney has quick impact? I think he's going to get snaps. I mean, the question I have is,
how confident is Mitch going to be throwing that deep ball? We need him to be confident.
There's that, but I think my question is his formations, right? What formations are they going to run? So what opportunities are there going to be? You're going to be in a lot of 2 tight end sets. You run out of guys pretty quick, right? You have a single back.
It can be A-Rod and Miller on the end.
Right.
Hit them in waves.
But that's the question. Is Ginn going to get a lot of snaps?
Nagy likes to rotate those guys, though. So
he does, which scares me a lot. Because I hope that. And this is something that I think was very important. Mitch kind of slid in there when he was talking about the new offense. He said that they have built things to their personnel, and Nagy and Laser both talked about that, right? That's been in the mix, is that you can no longer try to force these square pegs into round holes, and
you got to coach your talent. That's
right. And so I think Mitch kind of let that go a little bit. I mean, he didn't give away too much, but they asked him, what are you excited about this new offense, about what you're able to do in it, and these different things. And obviously he talked about the weapons, the tight ends, but he talked about having more speed. That has to be Mooney. I mean, and I think a little bit has to be Ginn. Ginn is still fast. He can't really.
I'm sorry, man. The comment section, all meat, no potatoes. How you guys doing? How's it going, man?
Yeah, what's up, all meat, no potatoes on YouTube?
Oh, tighten up. That's a wrong.
Tighten up. What's that about?
Well, hey, pause.
Yeah, I think
you got to tighten up.
You can see Mooney taking that role. The
Taylor Gabriel
role. Yeah.
I'm worried about snaps.
And Furry's rough on rookie receivers. So we'll see.
But I think that he seems to have just stepped right in there. He's confident. He's very confident. He doesn't
we need Mitch's confidence to match that confidence. Because Mitch is capable of throwing the deep ball. He can. It just we need.
Yeah, he just hasn't really. I mean, he did have. In 2018, he did. He was tied for first in the league in passes that travel over 50 yards in the air. It's capable of. And one of the things he mentioned that he felt like he needed to prove to them was that he can make that outside the numbers throw. And we've mentioned this before. Many people mention it. It's not some earth-shattering analysis, but having big bodies like those tight ends that will at least occupy somebody on some seam and flat routes it's going to be a huge deal. It is I don't care if Jimmy Graham is the new Jimmy Graham or the old Jimmy Graham or somewhere in between. Just his mere presence on the field as some kind of a threat is such a difference from last year. It is going to have great impact. It just can't not. And I think it's going to help the running game. It's going to help the passing game. It's going to help a lot. And we said before, you saw Mitch do pretty well with Trey Burton when he was in there and he was healthy.
Yeah, and you're getting two guys of a higher quality to start against the Lions.
Saw Mitch with Zach Miller too.
Ted in the chat says, "Who do you guys open against?" We open against the Lions on the road in Detroit. So a place where Mitch has played very well. And Nagy said that did not play into the decision-making process. Do you believe that? Do you believe that?
I do believe that it didn't play into it because as a coach, you don't think about those things. You just worry about, getting your guys ready because every game's different. Every year's different. Just because we beat the Lions the last 4 times does not mean that it's a guaranteed win.
You're right, Ted. That's a win for the Bears. We're going to call it. We're going to call it. What's the difference between an empty Ford Field and a Ford Field with a bunch of Lions fans with bags on their heads? Really nothing, right?
Well, yeah, I was just about to say Lions they're not having fans in the stands, are they?
No. There are some stadiums that did announce they're going to have between some stadiums 2,500, 6,000 I've seen. Couple places, are going to have some. So that'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. But back to the roster, is anybody else jump out at you that made it or didn't make it?
Not really. I think it's pretty much the biggest one that for me was, like we said, we talked about it already. So
because your hatred's so deep.
No, I am surprised. If Alex Bars shows up and plays well, I am for it. He's got Jason Spriggs there too, though.
And to kind of offer that question, RJ asked the question: Who do you guys think a sleeper player this year is going to be? Some guy that's going to just kind of surprise people.
Jared, pick one from offense and defense. Kendall, okay. Anybody from offense?
Mooney.
Okay.
I think he could have a couple of games where he just flashes and explodes. Honestly, I think the biggest breakout player is going to be Anthony Miller, though. I really think this is the year. So
but I don't know if he's not a sleeper.
I think Ifedi is going to make a big difference on the line.
I like that call. I hope to damn so. We need that. And that's a big dude. He's gonna move some guys. I'm definitely I like that. I like how that's looking right now. It'd be hard to look worse at right guard than what they showed last year.
If I had to pick a guy on defense, I'll go with Roy Robb.
I like that too.
I like that pick.
He's in a contract year. He's made some plays. He's a guy who. He could be the Nick Williams of this year, right? Nick Williams found his way to 6 sacks.
Who's Nick Williams with now?
Nick Williams is in Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, Nick Williams is in Detroit. So as far as my sleepers go, just because I feel like I got to pick different guys, I will say that I think Tariq is going to have a bounce-back year this year. I like his chances to kind of make some noise. Now I'm worried about his snaps, but I think, it's kind of weird to call Tariq a sleeper, but I kind of feel like, it might be
last year. That's a good call.
Yeah. I like that. And then, on the defense, just kind of pick somebody that maybe, hasn't really been talked about. I think Travis Gibson might be a guy who sneaks his way onto the field a little more than we thought. I liked what he said about how he's really been soaking up knowledge from Tariq, right? Not from Khalil, and I think that, he's big, man. It's our 99th episode. That's number 99. That's my pick. I like Travis Gibson. I He's a big dude. He's got that bend. He looks aggressive. Like his tape looks strong. I think that's another guy. We didn't talk about him, but that's another draft pick that I think is going to really
this could be the year that people look back at the draft that Ryan Pace had and been like, wow, he really killed it.
Well, and he needs it, man. I mean, he needs a draft. He needs a draft. Ted says Tariq is a beast. He just needs to be used correctly. He's so good. I agree. I mean, people were, I think, we've given Tariq a lot of shit about running out of bounds, but
yeah, if Tariq starts running with a purpose like he did in college and he stops trying to hit home runs every play, yeah, he can do some damage. I think, and he seemed motivated, man. He said he brought up his off-season issues, this is in-season issues last year and how he wasn't as prepared as he should have been. And so, yeah, I can see him having a big year.
Absolutely. I mean, he's going to get the ball, I think. But I think with these tight ends in the mix, that may cut it down. And that's okay. Like, I don't think he needs to be – like, it was not necessarily a good thing for us that he was targeted, over 100 times last year.
Less is more with him sometimes.
Yeah.
It was the type of targets he was getting to. I mean, he was getting the ball thrown behind him with two guys in front of him.
Bailouts, and he's he's going backwards or he's running for his life. And he said maybe his conditioning wasn't right previous offseason.
We also got if we're in double tight end sets, we got guys that can keep the defense honest too and keep that pressure off of him. I mean, it's going to be a different ball game.
He's going to benefit from that. So he may not get the volume, but his quality of carries and touches, I think, is going to be a lot higher because you just cannot key on him. Last year, everybody knew you key on him, you key on Robinson. That's it. I mean, that's all you have to do. There's nobody else you have to worry about. Now, Miller came back and had a nice finish up to the season, and he kind of became that third weapon, and that was great for us. But with no tight ends, still, that was a problem. So, now. I mean, again, I don't want to get too ahead of myself. I'm not sitting here trying to tell anybody that this offense is going to be like, 30 points a game or something like that. I don't think that, but I just know for a fact that they've upgraded in key areys. Now the running back,
I think it easily could be if there's a quarterback that steps in this year and steps the hell up. I think they have the weapons to do that.
And if David, let's just pray to little 8-pound baby Jesus that David Montgomery wasn't as bad as all that. Like it wasn't nobody. There's been no information about it. I think it was
they tried to
Dickerson. Dickerson came at him a little sly with it. Kind of saying what everybody says. I mean, here's what I'm saying. Like everybody wants to talk shit about Bears Twitter, but literally every single thing that's on Bears Twitter ends up in those press conferences. Every single thing. And it doesn't all just come from the brains of those reporters.
Yeah,
okay?
But nobody asked how it leaked, how the decision leaked. I asked Patrick Finley to ask that. Like, how did it get out of the Pentagon? Like, seriously.
Well, what do you think they're going to say? I mean, I don't know if that's you're going to ask a question they're going to answer.
Right.
I mean, but he came kind of sly with it and was like, is the lack of moves at running back, can we assume a confidence? And now he's like, yeah, I know what you're trying to do, but it was like the Rock thing, no comment. But yes. Like, I mean, so yes, I mean, that comes back to that. And so I'm going to try for a minute to change my tone on Ryan Nall. And
okay.
It's not going to last long, but
he's probably the most well-rounded guy behind Montgomery.
That's the thing. Here's what I think I know about Ryan Nall versus Artavis Pierce, who obviously I think has a flashier tape than Ryan Nall. Although Ryan Nall, Ryan Nall has good tape at Oregon State. I mean, he definitely has some good tape, and he's a guy that people said, he should play on Sunday when he was at Oregon State, which is pretty good for a white running back from Oregon State. I'll be honest, but I think he can pass protect. I don't know about a rookie running back pass protecting. And again, when you're in 12,
that was one of the knocks on Pierce on his scouting report too, pass protection and some receiving So.
And when you're in the 2 tight end set and both tight ends go out into routes, the back might have to stay in and protect, or at least chip and then go out into the flat, right? So you've got to be able to do that. And so, I think there's a comfort level there. And I think that's what ultimately won him the job. Borin Cholo says no confidence in running backs except for Montgomery.
And I get that.
I mean, I hear you, man. I agree. I think I feel the same way. How do you
feel about that one running back wearing an 84?
Man, that's why we're screaming for them to bring in every running back that became available. We're like, bring
everybody. We're like, bring in anybody.
Where's White?
Well, and
dude, Kareth White, yes,
Kareth White. Florida Atlantic speedster that was on our practice squad, and we wanted to get it.
I didn't see him signed by anybody, but yeah, I would like to see him back.
Yeah, I mean, he may end up back on the Steelers practice squad again. I did think it was kind of odd that there aren't a lot of running backs on our practice squad. I mean, I think it's just Artavis Pierce, right? I don't think there's anybody even else on the practice squad, which is kind of interesting. So that's another thing that sort of leads you to think that Montgomery's
That's fluid. We'll see.
Yes, it's fluid. But, there's going to be moves made. The initial 53 is far from what ends up being the 53 usually closer to game day. But as far as Cordarrelle, dude, who knows?
That's just where they're hiding him on the roster, man. I think he needed to refine his running back skills. That's why he worked at it. He's still going to be lined up at receiver, wherever Nagy wants him, and he's still going to be a hell of a player on special teams. So
that's what we know. He's going to be the best gunner in the league. He's going to be the best kick returner in the league.
Yep.
And whatever else
he's going to be a gadget guy. Wherever they need him to line up, he can line up.
But so let's say that Montgomery is out, right? Who do you say gets the most carries, the most action in that scenario?
It might Ryan Nall for me, man. If it's going to be have to carry most of the workload running back, I would pick Nall out of this group and Tariq as the change of pace guy. But that's just me. What about you, Joe?
I think it's going to, first of all, it would depend a lot on game flow and where we're at, if we're leading, if we're behind. I think you would get more Tariq, say, if we're ahead and, throwing the ball and things like that. But if we're in a run mode, I would say Nall or Patterson.
And Lamar Miller, sure.
Yeah, Born Cholo in the chat on Twitter says they should pick up Lamar Miller released from the Patriots. I just have a hard time seeing the Bears at this point picking up a lot of offensive skill position guys because it's so difficult for them to learn the system at this point. Like I just have a hard time seeing it at this point. Like
unless it's a guy that they feel knows the system.
Right. Spencer Ware out there, who, I don't know how well he knows it. I mean, it's obviously different now. I mean, Foles even talked about that today. Foles, said it was more of an adjustment than he had necessarily anticipated because of the strange circumstances of him coming in, and you had all these new coaches who, ultimately it was a process that was challenging, and he thought he had a good camp, but if Foles feels, and obviously the quarterback's different than the receiver, but we've seen that this is complicated for receivers to crack this lineup.
And we need to finally see.
And
I hope we get a clear picture of what our identity on offense and in the run game is this season.
That's the biggest thing. And your fear, or everybody's fear, I think, as a Bears fan, is, oh crap, now Nagy's going to have the perfect excuse to throw the ball 45, 50 times, right? Because he doesn't feel great about the running backs. I'm just hoping to God that they have redone this thing, and we see an offense that is geared towards running the ball. And no, that doesn't mean Mitch running the ball. Like, our boy DeBlog said that this only works if Mitch goes back to running the ball and using his legs.
I don't even know why you're referencing him anyway. He's a playwright from New York, dude. Whatever.
Yeah.
So
I'm just saying, like that. I thought the point was worth shooting down because I think there are people that still think that's what Mitch needs to become is this, I don't think it's disrespectful to Lamar Jackson, but for him to become a quote unquote running quarterback, I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's what he needs to do. He needs to learn how to sit in a real pocket and deliver the passes that need to get delivered.
I often wondered about that last year with him. He didn't run as much. We all talked about it. It's like, well, and then we're all screaming, why isn't he running? Why isn't he running? Why isn't he running? Maybe, just maybe, that it's a good thing that he didn't run last year. Maybe getting that shell-shocked and passing all the time and seeing coverages, seeing how they played him, maybe he benefits from that this year. And
he was injured, and the year before he got knocked the hell out. Basically, he got his shoulder popped out.
Right.
You know what I mean? So he was just, I think he was just a little more cautious just because of the injury. You're going to see him be a little more aggressive with that this year. But I think the biggest thing I want to see is, we heard a lot about Juan Castillo and why Nagy brought him in. If the running game's clicking, Nagy will stick with it more. That's just how he is. If something's not working, he goes away from it very fast.
And that's something,
people complain about, we're not running. You're going to run more when you're winning. We need to get ahead to establish a run game also.
Yeah, and I think Mitch talked about that. You got to score when you're in the red zone, which they had a terrible time at.
And those tight ends are going to
third down.
Yeah.
Like that. Third down. And what we need is Nagy to feel good about running on third down if they need to do that.
I think about that Eagles game last year, whenever we had like 4 cracks at the 1, and then there was a penalty, so we got it 1st and goal again at the 1, and we barely scored. It was just like, this should not be this much of a struggle.
We got James Daniels looking like the Hulk. Daniels came in looking like the Hulk. You got a Fetty is just as big as a little bit bigger than Kyle Long, actually. Might be starting to get that push up the middle. You know what I mean? Like, it's time, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope so, man. I really hope that this really works out. I mean, I want to believe. I want to believe in their moves. I want to believe in their players, man. I mean,
it's put up or shut up time.
Like we want to believe. What Ted says, Juan Castillo, great offensive line coach, another former Andy Reid guy. Yes,
my brother doesn't feel that way about Juan Castillo when he was in Buffalo.
There's a lot of people that don't feel that way about Juan Castillo. The flip side of the Juan Castillo coin is that dude was basically unemployed last year. So, like, I want to believe everything I hear about Juan Castillo, but just like with...
I liked what I heard from the interviews, man. He seems like a guy that inspires guys, definitely.
And I really hope that there's a checks and balance system in place for when Nagy takes the play sheet and kind of just starts chucking it all over the place. Hopefully there's a check and balance that says, hey, you need to remember that you need to run the football a little bit, I don't want to hear anymore.
And we'll hopefully that will be something where a voice in Nagy's ear matters more, right? Now that DeFlippo and Laser are in his ear. I don't think Nagy was listening to Helfrich at all. Like, I don't think those guys were together in any sense. I don't think he's standing him. I think there was a lot of butting heads, maybe not straight up butting heads, but I think Nagy was really... I think when Mitch started flailing, Nagy went into his own little world. And
with Childress.
Yeah, with Childress, exactly. With weird, what the hell is Childress? Like, what the hell was that? And Rags and Helfrich and Heasan were like on the outside, and it was like Nagy was in the lab with all his play sheets on the wall, like putting pins and shit, and like, if I can just, I mean, he was trying to unlock dude like Nikola Tesla, just trying to make something happen. And it didn't work. And I think, I hope to God that Laser is going to say, be in his ear. And we've talked about maybe the play calling could switch at some point, and we'll never know because it'll all come out of the booth. I don't know, but I just hope. Because what we need to happen is what happened for the Vikings. We talked about that, but we need that to happen. We need them to change to a system that allows the quarterback who has talent, and yes, Kirk Cousins has talent, as much as it hurts me to say that, that, he's in a system where he can maximize that talent. And I don't think Nagy's completely changing his system. And I don't think Mitch is going to become a running quarterback. I don't think Mitch is going to run for 500 yards. But I think,
I would venture to say if he runs for 500 yards, we're not having a necessarily great season.
Yeah.
I don't think that.
What? Well,
You think if he runs for, I don't know if I just feel like if and we don't know, but my knee jerk would be to say that if he has to run that much, that something's gone wrong.
yes, our running back room has, although they like it, hasn't produced again. That's where I would be worried at.
I wouldn't be too worried if he ran for 500 yards. Depending on how the season goes, that could be a good thing.
I mean, that's not a ton.
It's pretty good for a Bears quarterback.
It is. I saw some people out there saying that now, because this is what we also like to do is like we are putting criteria of success on Mitch. Like, not only do the Bears have to win, they have to do X, Y, and Z. They have to, he has to beat Eric Kramer's numbers and blah, 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 blah. Just win fucking games, man.
Just be consistent, man.
I don't care if he ends up being Tebow. If they win 12 games, I don't care how they do it. Like, I really don't. If we run the ball like crazy, that would be great. Bears fans would love that. We all think that David Montgomery is a pretty good player. I don't know if he's a great player.
I think he could be.
I don't know. Great. I would say he can be a solid guy.
That's where I would have liked to have seen Adrian Peterson get signed for us, just because that leadership, he could help a guy like David Montgomery be like, hey, see where you missed this, this, and this.
I mean, leadership. Like, I don't know, man. I don't want to get to the off-field shit, but if you beat the shit out of your kids, fuck you as a leader. You know what I mean? Sorry,
well,
I'll just say that. So, that's just my.
No, I feel you on that. I mean, I don't love Adrian Peterson in any way.
As a football player,
but what Montgomery needs to see is a put your foot in the ground and cut, go hit the hole, and that's what Fournette is. That's what Adrian Peterson is. That's that is not what Cohen is. Ryan Nall's not a super shifty guy. Ryan Nall's he's pretty big back that hits the hole pause hard. So I don't know. I like Montgomery's chances to have a good season. The injury, kind of scared me. Again, we don't know how serious it is. But he's a guy that, by all accounts should have an improved season. I could see 1,100 yards, 1,200 yards out of him. I hope they can figure out how to get him the ball in the passing game.
We haven't had a 1,000-yard rusher in 3 years.
Yeah, we've come close, but not quite gotten there, right? Like Jordan Howard was
56 yards away.
Yeah.
So let's get into the matchup.
Okay.
Playing the Lions. Yeah, man. They Stafford was playing well under Bevel until he got hurt, but I think their O-line, we could exploit the hell out of it. The right side of that offensive line is just ready to get torched.
And they just paid dude, right? They just gave old boy a new contract, the guy that Khalil threw around like a rag doll. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. So you got, I think Kerryon Johnson's a little beat up. DeAndre Swift, they brought in AP. They got Scarborough at running back. Any of their weapons on offense scare you guys? We got Marvin Jones, Amendola's back, Hawkinson. Think there's anything to worry about?
Galladay
is
a top flight receiver. I think he scares me. I think Marvin Jones is definitely a guy that can hurt you.
It's got the number 2 matchup, the number 2 receiver versus our number 2 corner is going to be very interesting. It could very well tell the tale of the whole game.
But their O-line is it was trash last year. So
right. I mean, what we need to have happen is that they are hitting Stafford early and often. And I think that's going to happen. Like, I think he's going to be running for his life from Jump Street. Like, I don't.
That's a guy coming off of a back injury too that was pretty brutal last year, correct?
Yes, he broke his damn back. Like, it wasn't. He obviously recovered from it, but there was a little bit of a time where it was like, what is going on with dude? Like, he's not a young player. So I just feel like what I see happening is Robert Quinn, Akeem Hicks, and Khalil Mack having a freaking field day. Now, what you hope is that somehow they're not able to run the ball, because I feel like
Eddie being out still, say what you want, but Eddie being out for the run game's going to be tough, at least initially.
It is, but what we have never seen yet is the bookend pass rushers with Khalil. When was the last time we had bookend pass rushers?
Eddie also never really recovered from that Raiders game. We were hoping
I agree.
Did this year. He was playing off the line a little bit after that. Off the line,
couldn't fight off a cut block.
So I was really looking forward to seeing if he got that out of his head. You know what I mean? Because it did affect us for the rest of the season.
Absolutely did.
I just think that it's going to be so nasty. I do worry a little bit about because Fuller likes to keep on his one side, so he's not always going to be matched up against the best receiver. I worry about that a little bit. I think what's an interesting question is it's going to be funny, and I've seen this mentioned that if Okudah is not playing and Jalen Johnson is, right? This is, Detroit's big genius move, right? Like they got rid of Slay, who's a Pro Bowl level corner, and they bring in Okudah with whatever, like the 4th or 5th pick in the draft.
Well, they brought in Desmond Trufant and Jamie Collins also, and I think Danny Shelton.
They're going to be
and Nick Williams.
Their pass rush
was non-existent last year,
and I don't know that it got a lot better.
I do like Jamie Collins though. He's a hell of a player.
But he's not a pass rusher, really, is he?
He can be.
Yeah, but I don't see them. It's like I don't see him being
They were the 31st ranked defense in the league, so
right.
This is setting up pretty good for us.
You would think.
And obviously
we've been here before, though.
Yeah,
listen, we haven't won. Nagy hasn't yet to win a first game of the season yet.
Was it Blau last year? We were like, oh yeah, we got that. And then he comes in and we're like, oh.
Well, we haven't won the first game of the season in a long time, right?
Yeah. No, but remember, we thought we had it because Stafford was out. We thought we were going to roll, and all of a sudden it was like 60-yard bomb.
It was and weird. Let's be honest. We've seen plenty of weird ass games in Detroit. Like, they usually around Thanksgiving. Obviously that was, that whole however many games in such a short stretch of days and whatever. But you never know what can happen. It's like, that's why they play the games. It's not, I don't think anybody on the Bears is chalking this up as, oh, it's easy. It's Detroit. Detroit needs to come out and win this game just as much as the Bears do. I just think that pass rush, man, I just feel like I'm so excited for this
turnover. I think it's going to be that's where it's going to be fun.
I think Quinn and Mack are just going to have a party and they're going to meet at the quarterback. Like, it's just going to be like Marshawn Lynch just pounding. Run through a motherfucking face.
So what do you guys got for a score prediction for the game?
Whew. The Bears eclipsed that magic number of 24.
Does the defense score?
I believe so.
Yes, sir.
I believe it's going to be a scoop and score.
Ooh. Who you like to get
Bears
that?
28.
Mm-hmm.
Lions 17.
Nice.
I got 28-10 Bears.
I think the defense is going to score twice.
Oh.
I think they're going to get it. I think Khalil Mack is going to come out like a house on fire. like in the first game when he came in with the Bears, and he is going to get a strip sack and score. And I also think that they're going to pull a little pick six on old Stafford. So I am thinking that because of that, I think the offense will be good enough. I don't think it's going to be like amazing, but I do think that they'll move the ball. I think they'll play respectably. But I'm going to give them. I'm going to go with 35-13.
13.
Bears.
There you go.
35-13 Bears.
And Ted had a question
Yeah.
for us. Yeah. How many?
Yes, Ted.
How many yards are we going to hold AP to?
You think he's going to get a bunch of carries?
30 yards.
Yeah.
If he's even the feature, if he's the feature back, 30 yards.
If I'd be surprised if
the best thing about a rental in this situation is you can run him into the ground.
Oh
If
yeah,
they're like, we've got him for 1 year. Let's run him into the ground, basically. So if they start him 45, 50 yards, 50 yards.
I just don't think they're gonna. I don't think he's gonna be the starter. Like I'd be surprised if he even gets in. Gets in the game, like in snaps. I mean, Kerryon Johnson's hasn't been listed as injured. Did you see anywhere, Brian? It's just
I just heard he was
Swift.
a little banged up. Yeah.
I mean, maybe, but I'd be shocked. I mean, your negative Bears side of you, of course, thinks, oh well, just knowing the Bears, like Adrian Peterson will have some ridiculous comeback game against us. But I just don't see it. I mean, like, I just think this defense is going to be so nasty. Like, I'm just, that's what I'm saying is like, I feel like that pass rush is just going to kill Stafford.
Oh, it's going to be vicious, man. So what do you guys got kind of for right now, knowing who the quarterback is? What do we think for season record?
Mine is pinned to the top of my Twitter feed. I've fought the urge to change it, but I kept it. 12-4.
Woo!
That's a bold prediction, Cotton. Let's see how it plays
Yeah,
out.
it works out for
12-4, win the division, and maybe win a playoff game. Hopefully, that'd be great.
I'm afraid to make. I mean, I made a bold prediction about them in 18. I'm afraid to be as bold this year. I'm sticking with my 10-6. I'm worried because the Titans, who are on our schedule, just got Jadeveon Clowney, who I'm not. I mean, I think it helps them. I mean, Vic Beasley's going to be a big question mark for them. The Titans fans are acting like they just added Khalil Mack. It's like, relax. Like you didn't. Like he's good. You paid $15 million for a rental of Clowney, who had 3 sacks last year and 30 pressures. So relax. But I think it improves their team overall. It's a guy you got to worry about. The Buccaneers added Fournette. I think that makes them better. I didn't have them necessarily beating the Bucs. So I'm still sticking with 10-6. I can't really see anything that's happened over the last little while that's really going to improve that for me in terms of who they picked up or where they've been, where they've headed or what things look like. I mean, that's just kind of how I feel. Brian?
I hope we get enough games in to have the prediction come close. We'll see what happens with COVID, but I was initially going to go 9-7. It could easily go 7-9, but I'm with you. I think 10-6 is realistic. That's if Mitch can. If Mitch can take that next step, then it could be Jerry. You could be accurate with that, but I think 10-6 is a solid.
I drank all the Kool-Aid. It was great.
Hey man, dude, I'm here for it. If they go 12-4,
Refreshed.
Well, so the one thing I think is that I think Foles, let's say Foles is just the backup for most of the year, right? I think he helps Mitch more than Chase did. Chase didn't have any damn experience. I mean, Chase is like,
he he helps him from the aspect that he it has to be fire under his ass or he's going to get replaced.
Well, that's the twofold of it. One, he's a good dude and he's going to help him because he's just that guy and he really honestly just wants the team to do well. But two, I mean, as much as Mitch wants to say he's not looking over his shoulder, he does know that it's not like Chase. Chase is, like this is Nick Foles. He'll come in,
It's not
it
like
doesn't matter.
Sanchez or Chase. This guy can replace you.
Right. So there is that motivation. Again, it's like, and that's why this is fine. Like, you give Mitch this shot, he God forbid, he doesn't do great. He doesn't look great. Hopefully they still figure out a way to win some games. But let's say they're 2-2 after these first 4 games and Mitch has not looked great, right? Then, maybe you make a change. I mean, they have a late bye this year, right? So I hope that they don't, go with the whole like bye week, wait till the bye week kind of thing, because we've never done particularly well on the bye with Nagy. But
no.
So Mitch has earned this shot, right? He's earned this opportunity to prove everybody wrong, to change his narrative, right, or prove a lot of people right, as Nagy said. So you give him that shot. If it doesn't work out, Foles comes in. Hopefully he has his Foles magic. If that doesn't work out, then we say adios to Mitch. We got Foles as a steady backup or a bridge. And we, it sucks we're back to the drawing board, I suppose, to a certain degree. But we've been in way worse places as Bears fans than having Nick Foles as a quarterback.
I would like to see them bring in a young kid on the practice squad to develop over a guy like Tyler Bray, though. I really
But
would.
not Josh Rosen.
I was going to ask.
I would take Rosen on the practice squad. Yeah.
No.
On the practice squad.
I don't know how worthwhile the practice squad is going to be this year. Your practice squad is going to be.
He's still fairly young. I don't know. Anthony Gordon. I would take a kid to develop on the practice squad.
I just think in this year of this COVID year with the, I don't know if this is the year that you really have the opportunity to do that much.
I'm just saying, you didn't draft one. Bring one in. Bring a kid to develop.
No, Ted points out that Rosen went to the Bucs. Yes,
he did. Yeah,
but it was another thing where everybody Bears. I mean, yes, he went to the Bucs, and that I think is a good fit. I don't like Rosen. I never liked him. I don't understand why people
love the kid, but to bring him in on the practice squad to try to get to develop him a little bit, I would be down for that. I think we should have definitely taken a young guy instead of Bray and brought him in to try to develop.
Yes, absolutely. But right now, both the 7th round guys look like offensive linemen. Latavius Simmons is on the practice squad. Hambrett's, right now he's on the roster. Born Cholo says he's fine with 10 and Foles backup insurance. That's what Foles is. He's an insurance.
I'm not talking about on the 53. Yeah. I'm talking about bringing him on the practice squad and developing him instead of letting Tyler Bray just rot there. They don't ever go to Bray.
No, they're never going to go to Bray. I mean, you saw, I was shocked. The 49ers kept 3 quarterbacks. Kevin White, because, as Bears fans, we follow every ex-Bear.
Right.
Kevin White didn't make the 53. He did end up on the practice squad, but
Good
even with all their banged-up receivers and guys going out, J.J. Nelson went out. I mean, they're in rough shape at receiver. They kept 3 quarterbacks. They kept Mullins and the C.J. Beathard, which is weird. I guess they maybe, I don't know. They thought the dudes would get scooped up, I suppose. I mean, I would scoop up either one of those guys to be on my practice squad, Mullins or Beathard, be an upgrade over Bray. So that's probably why they did it, is to protect him. But that's, I mean, they probably figure, screw it, we're just going to run the ball. But now, I'm not going to talk about 49ers too much. But I thought that was interesting.
Now, what are you guys doing? What are you guys doing for being that we're not going to be able to tailgate live? What's the food spread going to be for this game here?
I'm going to be at work.
Are you?
Yes.
That sucks.
So I'm going to have to try to sneak it, listen to it, do it what I do on a Sunday. When I work every other weekend, you got to do what you got to do. So
I'm going wings.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I haven't really thought about it that much. I feel like that plan's going to come into shape as the week goes on. I mean, we got football on Thursday, boys.
I know. I'm excited, man.
That's going to be crazy. Like, I don't know. I feel like I might cry when football comes on. Like, I'm not going to lie. Like, even though it's the, as Waddle calls it, the son of a Mitch Bowl, because it's Watson Watson. You know what? Shout out to Deshaun Watson for getting that contract. I'm not bitter at him at all.
That was
or mad about that.
Wanted him, man.
I'm mad. I'm still mad we don't have him, but I'm happy as hell for that dude. He deserves it.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
His whole family on the Zoom, that was awesome. Like, what a great story. Like, Tony Dungy helping him get like a Habitat for Humanity house when he's a kid, and then
it was work done, right?
Yeah, it was. I think Dungy was involved though, right?
I'm not sure. I know Dunn that was building the houses and stuff. Yeah.
So, like NFL coaches and players involved in building a family, a home, like a Habitat for Humanity type of a situation. Deshaun Watson benefits from that, changes his life, and now he's a quarterback for the Texans and gets this big contract. Like, that's amazing. That's an amazing story. Like, I wish it was our story, but it's so awesome for him, and I'm rooting for that guy. You know, like, and I put it out there on Twitter. I put a poll out there that said, who would you rather have, Nagy, Foles / Trubisky, and this was before the competition was over, and our defense, or would you have Bill O'Brien, who, you know, everybody's laughing at him for being a wild GM and a kind of a sketchy coach, but you have Deshaun and you get the Texans. And this was like, I mean, I'm sorry, I don't know if I agree with the Bears fans on this. It was 70% to keep the Bears side of things. I'm taking that quarterback.
You got rid of his wide receiver there, his number one wide receiver, and dude, he's a sitting duck sometimes with that offensive line. That offensive line can be brutal.
It's true, and it's weird that they picked up, our boy Gas Mask. I can't think of his name.
Tunsil, yeah,
Tunsil,
that was the best draft video ever. That dude was getting ripped.
Yeah. Tunsil with the bong gas mask. I mean, that's he's a top offensive lineman. Anyway, but it's cool to see that. It's just going to be cool. Football's coming.
It's a sense of normalcy in a world that's been insane.
Yo, nobody
understands. But
I know we're not there yet, but it feels like we made it. Like, it feels like I know sports is not important in the grand scheme of things, right? Like,
I think it is, though. I think it is. Man, I missed the Rockets losing tonight, so at least I didn't have to suffer through it. But the feeling of normalcy in a year where we've had so much crap happen, whether it's social injustice, this COVID-19, man, like, I'm just glad we're all safe, right? But it's nice to just have some normalcy, and I think that's what sports brings to the table. It just gives you an escape, and we need that desperately.
Right. Well, and honestly, like, sports going on, I think has been a good symbol of everything for us. Is like, we got to go on. You know what I mean? Like, we cannot, we cannot just hide forever. We have to, tons of people have continued to go to work. Everybody has continued to do what they need to do, and we're going to get through this. And so football, I think, especially being as successful as has been and dealing with this, has been inspiring and has made me feel like, okay, like, these guys, obviously they have all the benefit of all this technology and they're top flight athletes, etc. But if these guys can do it, like, we as a society can do it. You know what I mean? Like, we can get back to and find a new normal, and we can get through this, and it's just going to feel so good to have that back in our lives, and obviously for us, this is, we eat, breathe, sleep this stuff.
And it's an election year. I can't imagine not having the distraction, man. If that's all everybody had to focus on, it'd be brutal.
Yeah, and when the games start, man, I mean, it's on. Like, everything shuts out. It's boom. You know what I mean? Like, you're in there.
Reality.
So, I mean, like, what I'm going to eat, I don't even know, man.
I'm going to tear up some wings, man. Oof.
I feel that. I feel that.
You ever dabble in that buffalo chicken dip? That homemade style?
Yeah, it's all right, man. But I just like
Mm.
straight. I like wings.
What do you dip in there? Like, is there chicken in the dip?
Yeah, it's chicken.
Explain it.
It's cream cheese. There's some
Buffalo chicken dip's good. Yeah.
ranch powder in there. You got a little Frank's Red Hot. It's good stuff.
But what do
No,
you? So you put
Yeah,
chips,
you put
pretzels.
chips,
It's
pretzels,
like a
whatever.
tortilla chip
Crackers.
dip kind of thing.
Okay.
It's really good.
Yeah, it's decent, but I'd
It's
rather have
easy.
some wings with blue cheese and don't give
Oh,
me
yeah.
tenders and ranch are just blasphemous.
No,
Hey, you know what? Like,
did you see the video that Rick
shout
sent me
out to that guy. Yeah,
Yeah, that was great. Chicken
And
nuggets.
it was in Lincoln. Like, he stood up at the city council meeting and demanded that, you know, obviously
You can't call them chicken wings, man.
they're not wings. I've always said they're not wings. That's what the whole. That's where the whole debate is stupid. It's not wings. So, but they're still delicious. Like, you want to call them soppy tenders? You want to call them, I don't know, wet ass tenders or something, like, you know, Watts? I don't know, like, but they're not like, they came up with what is it, saucy nugs, something like that. Hooters was saying, can we call them saucy nugs? I'm like, whatever you want to call them. They're delicious. They're just not wings.
Yeah, wings are way better, man.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay. I agree with you, but you don't always like, and this may be like an unpopular opinion, but I don't always want to like get my hands covered in food. Like, I'm going to get my shirt covered in food because I'm a sloppy ass dude.
Let me just
in
say
that way.
this here. Let me just a PSA here. Eating wings is good practice for the ladies.
Wow.
So, anyway.
Yeah. Stay tuned for the Tailgate Show After Dark to find out what the fuck Brian meant by that.
I forgot we're live. So there's that.
Yeah.
A little saucy. But yeah, so you know, we're there, man. Like, tomorrow, Labor Day is game week. That's it. It's game week. Like,
I'm so pumped up. I can't wait.
and they put out that hype video. I was ready, Jack.
Yep.
I'm so ready that we forgot to even be mad about Allen Robinson not even being offered a contract still. I don't even care. Like, that pisses me off. But like, I'm not gonna get caught up in it, right? Like, I'm ready to go. I know Allen Robinson's ready to go. He's not gonna hold out or give less than his full, effort. It could still happen.
Could happen midweek, yeah.
I think it's real weird that and if people didn't see, I'm sitting there on Twitter as I always am, and Jacob Infante put out a thing like, it's weird that now all these contracts are getting given out because Keenan Allen signed a big deal, is making $20 million a year, and basically the price of Robinson is going up. And Eric Lambert was like, yeah, maybe Robinson's playing hardball, and Robinson came back with, I can't play hardball if there's no pitch, and put a little baseball. And I was like, whoa. And he deleted it. I was like, what? But I caught it, because Twitter remembers. And man, like that's, I mean, he said it a couple months ago on Waddle and Sylvia, I believe it was, that they hadn't made him an offer, or might have been on Carmen Yurko, I can't remember. But if there's really been no talk, like, that's weird, man. Like that, and then you got so many wide receivers on the practice squad, and like, I just wonder.
It's a weird year, man. And with the quarterback, they didn't know who the quarterback. There was a competition going on. It's tough to make that decision long term, and who knows.
I also wonder about how the pay structure is going to be for next year. You got
the salary cap is going down.
Yeah, we'll have to figure that out. So, do you pay a man now, or do you wait for the season and then have your salary cap issue figured out, and then do it that way? I don't know that there's a right or wrong way.
Yeah.
I think the idea that security for him should probably be offered because he's played so well, and the team should probably.
Look what the guy's done with Bortles and Mitch, and I hope we're not saying it's just Mitch. I hope he steps up. and get to that level that we've wanted him to get to. But yeah, he's had some quite some awesome production for inconsistent quarterback.
Look, I mean, even if next year Mitch is gone and we still only have Foles and a rookie, we still need an Allen Robinson. Like, I'm not ready to believe that anybody on this roster is going to replace him or come close to it. Like, I just, you don't want to open up that hole again. And we've been trying to have a receiver like that for so long, basically since Alshon left.
Yeah.
And somebody was talking about, is Alshon, they're still trying to trade him. No, we don't want Alshon back.
No, my hamstrings exploded just saying that.
Like, no. But
Okay.
I don't want Alshon back. I feel like, I don't know.
If
Like,
Foles is in, I don't know.
If it was super cheap, I don't want to pay Alshon a bunch of money.
Oh no,
Like,
no, he's not getting
like
much.
this needs to be like Javon Wims and Riley Ridley need to get
That's what I'm saying. I'd take him if Wims doesn't pan out. I'd take him.
right. So anyway, back to the excited, ready to go. We're ready for everything that comes. We
Pause.
just it's time. Yeah,
Mhm.
pause. Like, it's time to be Bears fans. It's time to root for our team. 10 is under center. 10 is the man. 10 is getting it done. Let's go. Let's go Bears. Let's do this. Let's go
James Harden
Mitch.
style.
Let's go. Let's see Laser Mitch. Let's see No Huddle Mitch. Let's see Mitchie doing his thing.
Maserati Mitch, whatever you want to call him. Let's
Whatever. Let's see it. Let's see he's redlining the Miata. I don't care what he's doing. I'm just saying, let's get it cracking.
Get it going. It's time.
Thank you for everybody listening in. Thank you for everybody that tuned in.
Yes,
Thank you for everybody that
Facebook too.
that responded in the chat. We appreciate you. We do this every Sunday night. It's gonna be kind of like a post game.
We might change up. We might change up nights.
Yeah,
here,
we might
switch up. Come at you when you don't expect it.
Yep, we might. Yeah, we might be laying out in the cut and just go live. Bam!
That's
we don't know. Just another episode of That Tailgate Show.
Bear the fuck down. Let's get it.
Let's
The
go.
Bears.
The season is here.
We
Let's
beat
go.
We beaten the motherfucking Lions. There's no doubt. Have a great week, everybody. Bear down. We appreciate you. The Brawl Network is coming. Look out.